Hey everyone, let me share. Apologize for last week. I had a minor disaster that if I didn't work on right then would have been worse and worse and worse. So had to fix something that was flooding.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it was a upstairs bathroom flooding the kitchen.
Ooh, that sounds terrible. I had an upstairs kitchen flood my basement once. That was no fun at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, I was out of town at the time and didn't notice for 7 days. And in the end, ended up ripping most of the house out down to the studs and redoing it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little more. We had a dishwasher flood that required ripping out the whole kitchen floor years ago, and then um, the other bathroom flooded, which forced us to buy an updated TV. And then this bathroom is flooded twice, and I don't know. Anyway, that so I apologize, but I woke up to that and I'm like, okay, I have to deal with this. So it took about 2 hours of cleanup, and then I was, okay. But all right, so we have quorum. Um, I don't have a lot of business unless you guys have additional things to add to the agenda. So as always, we'll start with what do you guys have to add to the agenda? I know Dan's out uh, for a reason, which since we're recording, I won't state. Um, but he has a good reason. Do we have any other agenda items? So the only ones I have are to talk about two upcoming things that are actually quite interesting. Um, and then Laura Hendrickson has volunteered / applied for the POC and Development Platform Working Group Chair.
Have a quick lab update I have.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good because the number two, we should talk about one possible use of the lab in the announcements. Anything else? The OCP booth, the demo was small but effective. Um, you know, so I went and saw it, and I talked to Laura for a bit, and yeah, I saw a number of other people as well. So it's yeah, that went pretty well, all things considered. Um, anything else from anyone for agenda items or future agenda items you'd like to propose? We don't have to do them today, but all right. So, number one, I've been talking to Justine Sherry from Carnegie Mellon University, and she has a project called INSO. And what INSO is a API and transport layer between the host system and the DPU, right? And it's interesting. It's got a lot of good features, and they were looking as to whether they might want to open source it. Are people interested in it in the industry? And I told her, come talk to this group. We could also have her talk to the use case group, but we'll build it up and announce it ahead of time and tell people to show. It's on the November 9th, so just 2 weeks from now. And like I said, she has a student, so Justine plus her student will do a talk plus a demo, about 40 minutes worth. And like I said, I've had the discussion, I've seen the content. It's well worth listening to. It could be interesting for us. So, and you can go look up, if you look up Sherry's name and INSO, you can find out more about this ahead of time if you like. They have some published stuff on it. Right. Questions, thoughts? Okay, so that's that one. The second one is yeah, go ahead.
So I think so. Even there is some group on at OCP, right, that is looking at not DPU in general, all the accelerator interface. So that's other group. I think we thought we would interface with them early on. I think recently there's no specific discussion. That's also it's also a good group for us to look at.
Okay. Who do we contact?
Yeah, I have to go look there. There are two folks. I'm trying to remember. I think Ravi Sunkad, and then trying to forget the first name, Barak. I can remember the faces, but I'll find them. These are the networking leads at OCP, so we can reach out and have this.
All right, we can take that up. We can take that as a vague follow-up and go find out who to talk to. Okay. Yeah, but again, this is a university project, a specific kind of zero copy transport between the DPU and the host system, with APIs on both sides, and they have working code and that sort of thing. And they've looked at all the considerations for efficiently moving data through a DPU. And so we'll, like I say, that one will be interesting. Okay, OPI group. Now, so along the same vein, Linux Foundation and ION are proposing to work more closely together. So ION is this Japan-led initiative to build all photonics networks at sort of a large regional scale or continental scale, that have high bandwidth, low latency, good provisioning of the network, and so on. And NTT and Fujitsu want to bring a set of technical requirements to support their data-centric infrastructure and composable disaggregated infrastructure. Yes, it's really DCI and CDI. Efforts on API, all photonics networks, for DPUs, because they see DPUs as a critical component for the endpoints to be able to be basically composed and do the proactive data movement. They have specifications, they have POCs in progress, they have ideas on where this should go, more than just ideas. They have plans. And so we had a meeting. I had a meeting with Arpit and these guys on Tuesday afternoon in Monterey at the Linux Foundation Summit, and they think that leveraging what the work that OPI has started and extending it for these use cases could be good. This is a again, they have a private consortium, and NTT and Fujitsu both have requirements documents to bring in. And what I told them was, we should jointly define the APIs with the ION group. But I said the first step is to bring this into the technical steering committee as a set of requirements, and I have a set of action items. Again, they have to present, we have to get access to the documents. The documents have to not come with a bunch of strings that you can't actually use them. Then we have to define the scope, and whether or not we have enough interest for that. And then if that all goes well, we would want to leverage the lab, obviously, for testing part of these APIs. So put a POC in the lab. Now, there's a couple of practical things to deal with here, which is, what people are NTT and Fujitsu going to bring, and then who among the OPI companies are interested in having people do work on this. They firmly have the idea that they want OPI so that they can deploy the right DPU into the right place without doing additional work. But the scope of what that means, we didn't get into. We talked at the what's their idea, what are their POCs, and then we have the meta discussion about how to proceed if this were to become real. I think it's a good idea. I've looked at this but everyone needs to see it and understand it, before we conclude all the details on, exactly how to do it, or I guess if, and then if so, then how. So we're going to bring that in, and I think a lot you have NTT guys talking about part of this in the use case group as well, if I recall.
Yes, we had several interactions. One is coming up about security, but we had a few of them already. And I do have my opinion on this, but please continue.
Yeah, right. So anyway, like I say, we need the full, requirements documents that they've been working on. Those won't even be completely finished until like spring anyway. But we need the first look at them, and we need for basically NTT and Fujitsu to come tell us, here's the APIs we actually need if we're going to pull this off, and then we can have a discussion, and then we can start making decisions on the extent of plans, or whether this is supportable. This is again, if this is real, which all photonics networks are real. If this effort is real, then I think it's interesting. And again, this is part of a wider Linux Foundation ION collaboration. So, comments, thoughts? A lot. I know, like I said, I know if you've looked at this as well. And again, you can hold your you can say what what they've told us, and offer opinion or not on that. Or we can talk offline, up to you. Or both.
Well, I can say that obviously it's a very wide project with a lot of initiatives, and it's extremely how should I put this? Ambitious, I think. It's got a lot of elements to it, and it is run like a lab. a very big lab, or I should say a consortium of labs, which means that it's not immediate, it's long term. It relies heavily on the fact that you have a network of fiber connections, meaning that APN. So it won't be a fit to a lot of people, but the elements of it inside, obviously leveraging the DPUs might. Again, they have all sorts of things. They have, I think we discussed it in detail before. They have RDMA in there, how to move video around, how to move workloads around. They've got even UPF in there. They've got many elements. And of course, we can work together on it, but we need to understand that it's a very diverse set of workloads. B, the deployment partner is only NTT, nobody else at this time. And somebody that would want to deploy this will have to adhere to what NTT is building, or at least be close to what they're building, which is not an easy task. And again, I think that some collaboration is good because they have code and they've done a lot of work around building POCs of sorts. But we need to be careful. We're spread very thin as it is. So we need to be careful from diving into something that is only applicable or mostly applicable to these type of networks without really understanding how, at the end of the day, it will benefit others.
Well, yeah,
That's my two.
Yeah, that's why we need to do the technical evaluation based on their actual requirements documents and architecture documents. We can't, we can't, we can't commit blindly, to your point. The other one is any API defined outside of, a small subset needs to be broadly usable. So it has to be something we care about broadly. But we'll, again, it's worth having the technical evaluation, because again, they've come in and talked a little bit, but it's worth doing the more detailed technical evaluation, especially if they're willing to put people to work on this. Because again, if you're going to make the proposal, you kind of have to put somebody doing the work. But we'll see what they say. Again, the ideas are valid, they're interesting. We'll see what work would actually have to be done and who would be interested in doing it. I think the details of the use cases are probably reusable, but the details of the individual features involving the data movement and the RDMA stuff and whatnot. And I don't know how much of they have. I've never seen myself how much they really have to change to run the RDMA over the all photonics network, right? Because the DPUs aren't going to change physical interfaces beyond InfiniBand and Ethernet. Okay, and they don't have a requirement for direct, photonics interface into the endpoints. They have gateways that they plug into that act like first hop routers and slash gateways to do that work. So we'll see where this ends up. But it was interesting, and again, they want to do more general collaboration with Linux Foundation. Although they're a closed consortium for the work they do, they say the specs are and documents can be opened. But there's follow up on what are the licenses and how are they structured, but that's not, we don't have to care about that. That's for Arpit and Sridhar to care about. All right, any other thoughts or comments? All right, okay, so does anyone, okay, does anyone object to Laura taking up the POC and development platform working group chair? So we'll do a vote by if you don't say anything, you're voting yes. Because we haven't had any other volunteers who've been able to get approval. Laura is interested, is good, very good, has approval. So I think this is a good choice, but any discussion, or if you want a formal vote, we can do that as well. We have quorum, so we're fine. We're fine on that. So I'm going to mark this. I'm going to mark this as approved. And so that's great. All right, VinCat lab. You want to do a little lab update?
Yeah, Mircea, so with the lab, hardware started arriving. So we have, this is arrived at HE, and I contacted them to start the installation of what we already have. So kind of this is where we are. Not everything arrived, but I would say at least half, if not more, of the items we ordered arrived. And now we started the work on installing them. And that's the whole update.
Okay.
Hopefully in a week or two, we should have at least, I saw one server arriving. I believe an ARM server also arrived quite a while back. So I think we should be able to, at least have something running pretty soon. Unless, some cable doesn't match or something and we end up with everything is there, but we don't have power situation. Hopefully that's not going to be the case.
Right. Good. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on that one?
So why is it we don't have power? I'm confused.
Now that is just an example. For example, I don't know, let's say the 100 gig cables have not arrived and they're on back order for another month. Then you have everything up but then nothing gets connected. I'm just saying, you can miss one critical item and not be able to use the setup. So we have an Excel shared by Sridhar with the items that are ordered, and we'll move to start updating those with the items that arrived, so we can keep a track of what actually arrived and if it's anything critical in those items that we are still waiting for. Like the network PDU, maybe the cables, and so on. If those haven't arrived, then again, you have the server, but then you don't have a cable to connect the server.
Yeah, we have a forecast on when we expect to have everything?
The longest lead was about 4 months, I believe, but those were ordered a month ago. So hopefully by the end of the year, everything should arrive. And hopefully we'll have enough gear or items in the lab to at least be able to power on a server and start doing some testing. I can put more info. There is an Excel. It's in the lab Slack channel. There is an Excel with the items order, and I can add the column for lead times and the ones that arrived. But anyway, the discussion started with HE to start installing what they received. But I didn't have any confirmation yet from them that actually they started the work.
Okay, thanks.
Great. All right. So yeah, I mean that's all. None of that's terribly surprising, Mircha. Thanks for the update. All right. Any other questions or comments on that? All right. Any other topics?
No, but to the lab, we are having some, I think Intel says they're gonna send the server. I don't think they sent it with Mount Evans. And currently we have Pensando and Bluefield 2 in the list of purchase. I don't know if we're gonna get Marvel DPU. So maybe, I don't know, we can revive the discussion about what else we want to add to the lab.
Okay, I mean, do you want to write down a little, you want to write just a few bullets down and we'll talk about them next week
Okay.
on what you think is missing based on what's coming and what would be a good idea to build into the lab.
Yes, definitely.
And okay, so for next week's meeting, we'll be on schedule. Think about topics that we need to close on. There's one I have pending that I need a couple more details before I add it to the agenda. Again, we have stuff on the 9th, and I need to talk to my NTT contacts to find out when they can bring in the more detailed technical proposal for what we would do with the two sub projects within ION. So again, we don't have to tackle the wider all photonics networks. And I believe the DPU has a fair bit of isolation from the details of the all photonics network itself, other than maybe in some specific settings or for driving the RDMA over the all photonics network. But we need to see that from them. If you have any other topics, we can, send them by direct email, the mailing list, or Slack in the TSC channel. All right. If nothing further, then that was all I had for today. All right. Thank you.